This is the story of a man who believed that words could change the world. The story of Jürgen Habermas, a man who grew up in silence and spent his entire life fighting for honest conversation. He was born in 1929, in Germany, at a time when the world was slipping into darkness. As a child, he lived under the Nazi regime, a system built on fear, propaganda, and control. Truth was twisted. Voices were silenced. And questioning authority was dangerous. Imagine growing up in a world where speaking freely could cost everything. That experience didn't break him. It shaped him. Because from a very young age, Habermas understood something most people never fully realize. When communication is controlled, society itself becomes distorted. After World War II, Germany was in ruins, not just physically, but morally. People were asking themselves, how did this happen? How could an entire society be led so far away from truth? Habermas didn't look away from that question. He ran toward it. He studied philosophy, history, psychology, and literature, not for grades, not for status, but because he was searching for answers. Real answers. The kind that could prevent history from repeating itself. And what he discovered would shape the rest of his life. He realized that democracy is not just about laws or institutions. It's about communication. It's about people coming together, speaking honestly, listening openly, and searching for truth, together. That idea became the foundation of his life's work. Habermas introduced the concept of the public sphere, a space where every individual, no matter their background, has the right to speak, to question, and to be heard. Think about that. A world where your voice matters. A world where truth is not decided by power, but discovered through dialogue. But Habermas also saw the danger. He saw how easily communication could be manipulated. How media, politics, and power structures could turn conversation into control. How words could be used not to understand, but to win. And that's where his most powerful idea was born. He called it communicative action. And it carries a message we need today more than ever. There are two ways to speak. One is to dominate. The other is to understand. One is about winning the argument. The other is about discovering the truth. Habermas believed that real progress, real human progress, only happens when we choose understanding. Let that sink in. In a world driven by competition, noise, and division, he chose dialogue. In a world where people talk over each other, he believed in listening. In a world chasing power, he believed in reason. And he didn't just write about these ideas. He lived them. For decades, he stood as a public intellectual, speaking out on democracy, human rights, and the future of society. He challenged governments. He questioned systems. He refused to stay silent. Even as he grew older, into his 70s, his 80s, his 90s, he didn't stop. He kept writing. He kept thinking. He kept believing that the world could still become more just, more rational, more human. And that's what makes his life so powerful. He didn't live in a perfect world. He lived in a broken one, and chose to improve it anyway. That's the lesson. You don't have to wait for the world to be better. You can make it better. Through your words. Through your courage. Through your willingness to speak, and just as importantly, to listen. Because Habermas teaches us something simple, but life-changing. Your voice matters. Not because it is loud, but because it is honest. Not because it wins, but because it seeks truth. And in a time where it feels like everything is divided, opinions, cultures, people, his message becomes even more urgent. We don't need more noise. We need more understanding. We don't need more arguments. We need better conversations. So here's the question his life leaves us with. What kind of speaker will you be? Will you speak to dominate? Or will you speak to connect? Will you listen to reply? Or will you listen to understand? Because the future of any society depends on that choice. Jürgen Habermas may be gone one day, but his ideas are not. They live on in every meaningful conversation. In every moment someone chooses truth over convenience. In every person who dares to think, to question, and to engage. And now, that responsibility passes to us. So speak. Speak with courage. Speak with honesty. Speak with the intention to build, not to break. Because one conversation, one honest exchange, can change more than you think. And that's how a better world begins.